So, what 3 words would friends and family use to describe you?
Oh, 3 words? Friendly, happy, loyal.
Okay. And how would you describe yourself?
Uh, really positive person on outlook of life. Always the type of person like to help people. Friendly. It can't stop me from talking once you get it started. But that's probably my, way of getting to know someone. It's just part of my character.
So, what do you do to pay the bills, and how long have you been in said occupation?
Oh, okay. Basically, what I do is I have my own business in art. Plus, I have, as far as a community producer, so I have contracts in both areas, and they help out. And also, I'm a veteran, so they give me a pension because I was hurt, and so I got a pension for life.
Okay.
And most veterans do, so we don't have to worry about anything. Every month we get the pension, and plus anytime we want to go to the veteran for health care, whatever it is, any problem that we have our doctors, and to that if we need a problem with psychological problem, we have those, and everything is free for us as far as veterans go to the Veteran Administration hospital. So yeah, I'm pretty good, in that area there, so that's what pays my bill, so I don't have any problems.
That's good. So, is there anything you would change with how veterans are treated when it comes to getting services, or?
Well, yeah, a few things as far as you got a lot of veterans that's homeless, that's on the street, that came back from the war, because I'm a Vietnam era, and basically what I see, that's why I'm ready to start forming a veteran organization, art organization where veterans can tell their own story through their art. So this is what I see, that as far as coming home, I didn't see any debriefing, letting you know how, what you're going through, your psychological issues, because now you enter the civilian world now. You've been over there, and it's going to take a little time. But we didn't get that. And more reaching out, for veterans, because you got veterans still out there, but they lost. Came home and they family don't understand them. The people that they around don't understand them because, what they went through, what we went through. So a lot of veterans I know end up being either on drugs, or they become alcoholic, or they just, going to their own little, loneliness, deep hole, they don't want to be bothered, So that's what needs to be reached out to, a lot of veterans need someone to come back to them. Well, they give them a chance, to understand why they are what they're doing, why they still on the street, why they not, doing certain other things because of that, because it's a mental problem, post-traumatic stress kicks in, and a lot of veterans going through that, where it's really, it's affecting them, a lot. And then especially if you see some of your friends that went over there and they got their legs shot off, their arms shot off, so you'll see, and it's hurtful, when you see that, you don't understand. So of course they trying to pick up themselves, I mean, some positive stuff, not all negative, but on that aspect, pull veterans back, So yeah, that's why I'm starting now to reach back out to start an art, working on funding, where I can get all the veterans. Doesn't make no difference whether you white, black, Spanish, Asian, whoever it is, male or females, disabled, wheelchair, doesn't matter. But once that's done, and I get all the veterans together as far as to share their story through their art, It's going to build. It's going, because veterans. One thing about veterans, no matter what they went through or what they're going through, they're the type of people that is really caring. You know, veteran help out other veterans. We bond pretty good because you know we've been through a lot. You know, so it's not that you know we went through some real stuff. So veterans definitely bond together. Veterans help out each other. Veterans overlook a lot of stuff. But basically, that's what I want to bring back as far as a community of veteran artists. And all of this stuff's going to come out, you know, because each veteran have a different story to tell, a story that you didn't hear before, and it's going to be painful, you know, because that way the community will actually, you know, understanding come to our aid, you know, in that sense, start talking, communicating, you know. I want to bring something up. One thing I did see on the news the other day is that there was 3 officers, police officers, 3 or 4 I think it was. So they seen this guy, he was on the corner in a wheelchair, and they was wondering why he's on it. He couldn't move around. So they gave him a hand to help him, right? But when he got to where he's going, he couldn't get up the stairs to where he lived at. And so they just realized, they asked him questions. He said, well, I'm a veteran from the Korean War, different wars. And when they realized, they said, oh my goodness, he's been here he's a veteran. So they, you know, took him upstairs and they sat in his house and started talking to him. That was like a good deed because they couldn't believe it, you know. This is a veteran, you know. This guy protect the country, protect us, and here he out on the, you know, So that was all over the news, and everybody said, wow, you know. So little stuff like that, you know, people need to see, and you'd be surprised how to open up doors, because people don't know.
They don't. When I lived in San Francisco, before volunteering at a homeless shelter, we actually had education on the different groups of people who are homeless that live in the Tenderloin, and a portion of them were veterans, and I actually became friends with a homeless gentleman along my route to work, and he was a veteran, and he, you know, his hands were crippled and he was in a wheelchair, and he didn't have any family out there, and so I did what I could, you know, but it's such a shame that people kind of feel, you know, used once they return, because there's not a lot of assistance, it seems.
So that needs to be addressed. These issues, all is going to be talked about, you know, as far as what we need, a veteran need to help out another veteran. And I'll be one of the assets, you know, to have the torch there to open up these doors, you know. And I've seen a lot too, because I did my art. I went up there to 23rd Street is a veteran administration hospital, and they allowed me to be the vendor, you know, out on the first floor. And man, when they realized I was a veteran, I started talking. Veterans start buying all my art. They start telling other veterans, we got another veteran down here, he's a vendor, and blase, blase. And then I went to the one over there in Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn, same situation, you know. It's a different community, and veterans want you, or they want someone to open up these avenues where they can talk. They can, you know, they want to reach out, you know, they need help, you know, they need to communicate, because we part of you. You know, it wasn't for us to, I don't know, you know, go over there and they draft us and everything else, come back, and this is what happens. But anyway.
Well, that's beautiful, and I'm glad that you're making this a space available so people can really hear these stories, because it's so important when groups of people are overlooked. So where are some places that you're going to look to encounter veterans?
What is already being established. One is we have the Bailey Calf over here on Malcolm X Boulevard. Yeah, and they have jazz, and they have a veteran program too, you know, and they have art there. And so the person that's responsible for that, the ownership, she's opened up some doors when she heard what I want to do. They have black veterans, and so they're just waiting for me, you know. I'm just waiting for the fund, and then I just talked to one of the person that's Mr. Mills. I don't know his last name offhand, but he's in a wheelchair. He's a veteran, but he's running a program up in Harlem, the Adam Clayton State Building, where I just came from the other day, and we just did art. Brooklyn comes to Harlem, and we exhibit all our art there. And when I start sharing that story with him, he's opened up the door because they got a huge space, and he got a huge amount of people that's veterans, and he got other organizations. So he's embracing that, open up his arms, and want to be part of this with me. So yeah, I have a lot of people, a lot of places and spaces to go to, just starting, once I get there, because you need funding to do that, to open it up. Because once you get the veterans started and you get the first funded, it's going to be a lot of other funding. You just got to know the administration part, and that's what I have to just to understand exactly what's the plan is, what they're looking for in order to give you funding, when you put in the paperwork. So it's going to be done.
Will you be also going to some homeless shelters to find?
Yeah. It's going to be a list, We're going to put the work, we're going to do great marketing, It's not just the paperwork, but we actually going to walk, down, find out and talk to them. Because once you talk to another veteran, he realize that you're veteran, he coming.
Knows someone else.
He coming. I got help now. It's just like you in the war, like I said, I'm, Vietnam era veteran. But you got a lot of veterans still was left in the ditches, but the minute they see another veteran coming to help them, come on now, the helicopter come out, wounded, you're not the enemy.
Hope to keep going.
Yeah, you got help, and you need that, and that's what it is out here. You're a wounded veteran, and so that's what it's all about,
So it sounds like helping people inspires you, but what else inspires you and makes you look forward to waking up in the morning?
Oh, well, okay, what really, gets me up is because by the grace of God gave me this talent. So, God got my back, it's the faith, without that, I don't think I ever, because without, all the stuff that I've been through, I just keep praying, have a relationship.
Yes.
Because that's the only thing. Ain't nothing else going to help,
Amen to that.
People ain't trying to hear what you're saying. They ain't listening, I mean, you might have family. They say, yeah, right, all that. I got my own problem. But when you sit and pray and you get a communication with God, relationship, that's a whole different story then. And now your eyes are open because he can make anything work for you. So that's what makes me get up, smile, laugh, no matter what it is, Might not have a dime in my pocket. I'm still happy, and, walking around, greeting people. That's what it is, understand your purpose. And that, I feel that was my purpose, and giving me this talent to become an artist. And where I can blossom and, share to other people to help them through the talent that he, embedded into me, So yeah, I think that I'm doing pretty good in that area. And even with this filming, sometimes things is about faith. How we met up there in the funding for the New York. What was it? The New York.
I think it was Arts Funding
Arts
Foundation.
Funding, right? Foundation.
Yeah.
Same thing. So sometimes these things goes by the it's about faith. Is the spirit. You never know. When you talking to somebody and all of a sudden something clicking there, you don't know what it is, but I think that he puts people together for a reason, because what he could do. I mean, come on, don't get me preaching up here what he had his son
I'm
doing,
all about it. I'm the congregation.
All right, then, because he had his son doing all kinds of stuff, to bring the dead to life, take the fish out of the water and feed 500, so many people, I mean, you keep going back and forth, back to, who he is, and he can make you see if you're blind, but he's the only one. So I think that's what part of my purpose is to share that, is to tell a story. That's what he said. Just tell the story about my son, what happened, who I am, and you get all the glory, all the power. You'll see, and it's true. Things just come. You just got to believe. Some people don't believe, And that's one of the problems I think for a lot of people have because they don't believe, you know. But once you do believe, all kinds of things that happen, you know. So that's my, you know, understand that wakes me up in the morning, you know, because I believe that it is a God up there, and He always have my back, and He always protect with His angels, you know, send people to you because you want a child of God. You understand that, and now you know your purpose, you know, and getting other people to understand their purpose, you know, and why they was here, why they created, you know. So yeah, that's it for me. Yeah.
That's great, and I think that hope that you bring along with the organization that you're venturing on is perfect, especially in like the Trump era.
Oh yeah, that's another story there, but it's a reason for that. I mean, you got to look in the brighter side. It's a bad situation, but if He didn't want him there, he wouldn't be there.
Yeah, he's being used.
Yes.
He's being used to bring everyone together. My mother and I like to liken him to Pharaoh.
That's what it is. That's like, you go back into history, you know, and that's what's going on. His time will come, but right now it's for that reason, you know. And he probably don't even know what the reason is because that's the whole thing. You're blinded, but we still need you, and that's how it goes, you know. So yeah, that's what we got to look clearly into that, you know, because there's so much negative stuff going on with that situation. But you know, hey, it is what it is, you know.
So who, either what is your favorite quote, or who is someone who inspires you aside from God? Like, do you have a favorite artist or poet or?
Yeah, well, I got a lot of them. You know, one is Martin Luther King. He's one of the famous persons, civil rights leaders. And then you got Malcolm X, you know, Marcus Garvey, you know. So those are ones that really enlightened me, you know, to keep up, you know, the good stuff, to keep up the torch, you know, to help people out, you know. So in terms of art, you know, you got the old masters, you know, that really kept me going, because most of the time I had to look back into what they was doing, you know, and when I seen it, you know, I said, wow, you know, these guys is, you know, Pablo Picasso. Look at what he was doing. He did the Guernica, you know, way back when, and the way he did it in like an abstract, sort of like an abstract, but it was showing the people of the doomsday, you know, and that's why I keep remembering about this guy. If he pushed that button or something, you know, that would be a doomsday. But the people was all up in the air way back, but he did that in a big drawing, you know. So drawing tells a story, you know.
It's powerful.
It's a picture that tells a powerful story, you know. And artist is powerful in that area, you know. We can have a picture done, and that's the story that we see, you know, and it comes to light, you know. So yeah, I just wanted to pick that person there. I mean, there's a lot other artists, you know, old master, but that came to my mind there, that he was very powerful in that area there, you know. Yeah.
What challenges have you struggled with in your own artistic style, or yeah, I'll just leave it there.
No, there's a lot of challenges. I did struggle because, let's deal with the, I think I was talking about the color and the style, what style I wanted to have to portray myself. Because art is about, it's really how you feel, think, and see, you know. So when I was drawing before, yeah, I was doing a lot of black and white portraits, but it was dark background. I don't know why, but then I realized that it gave me the understanding that it was sort of like it was telling me what I was going through, you know, and these deep, dark moments, you know, that I experienced. So that was the dark side. But then recently I started changing, like now, into a lighter, you know, feeling and expression of lighter colors, you know. You know, so that was the challenge there, understanding colors plays a whole big role into the art, into anything. You know, you can see it, like, let's say if you get sick and you go to the hospital, you notice all the art, all the colors there is really white or bright or blue because it affects your brain. And so that plays a whole, it's a psychological, even if you walk down the street and you see the color red, you're going to stop. It's a light, red, stop. You know, fire, you know. So yeah, these simple stuff like that plays a role in understanding it, you know. So that was a challenge to me, is incorporating to my art into that. Even with some jazz, because I was doing some filming with a couple of galleries, you know. The last one was the Thelonious Monk that passed on, but he in that gallery, he had a lot of artists, and they was expressing themselves through colors, but the music. You know, when they said, well, I have to have certain colors in my art because that expressed the type of music that you would hear. And once you hear that, you can, you know, you understand, you know, what that person's trying to express. So colors makes a whole lot of difference, you know. So yeah, that was my challenge, understanding that and understanding, you know, how I felt and what makes me feel. Because sometimes I'll be painting and drawing, it depends on how I feel. I can paint and draw all day. Depends on how I feel, though, you know.
Yeah.
But understanding that, and then understand the colors that's around me, you know, and the basic colors too, you know. That was another thing too, to understanding that was the most important situation. Understanding the basic colors that you need first, you know, in order to make these other colors, but keep it, you know, where whatever you're doing is don't get into unless you need the color for a depressed, too much dark, too much this or too much red for whatever it is, you know. But yeah, I had you know, so now I'm okay with that, you know. Still little by little, you know, understanding it, but you know, I think those struggles overcome the barriers that's being broken, you know. So yeah.
And how long have you been an artist?
I've been an artist all my life, you know, born with this talent, you know. So this is just, you know, at some point in my life, I started recognizing it, you know. You know, as I nurturing, growing, because all this other stuff you got to go through. But eventually it came out at some point, and then I started realizing, I got this talent, you know, what I want to do with it. There you go.
And are you self-taught, or have you taken some classes?
I took some classes.
Okay.
When I took the classes, I went to college. When I was in college, I was going for my AA degree, and then I kept going for a bachelor's degree. And then I eventually went for a master's degree in theology. Yeah, but I ain't a preacher though. Might sound like one, but you never know. But yeah, what happened, I got into the art class while I was in for my bachelor, and I realized that you know, I can draw, and I just needed the technical terms to and the language and understand the perception of stuff, you know. And so it didn't take long when the instructor realized. They said, man, this guy got all this talent, and I was catching on too quick. So everybody else, the student in the class, couldn't keep up. So he said, you know what, can you tutor them? I said, really?
Oh, wow.
And I started tutoring the class. So he just sat back and was smiling. I put on the board and everything, show him the language. He said he already had it. It was born with him. He was just want to show off, you know. But that's good, that when somebody see that in you, and you didn't see it, so he helped me out. And that's when he realized, he said, no, you already got it. You just needed somebody to bring it to light or give you the technical terms of what, you know, you was doing, so you good. So that was it right there,
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you for interviewing me.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and so now it's your turn.
All right. My name is Alyssa Lee. I've been an artist since I was 5 years old. I really enjoy oil painting. That's my favorite medium, but I like to challenge myself. So I teach myself different types of art. So currently I'm working on teaching myself comic book style drawings. I'm naturally gifted in landscaping. So the last 2 years I've been focusing my talents on portraits, and because I have a tendency to use graphite and erase a lot, I wanted to challenge myself more, so I've been using marker and colored pencil and really just learning different types and exploring different types of paper and tools. So I really enjoy doing portraits on gray tone paper to really see the colors pop. Last November, not this past one, but the one before, I watched 13th, and at age 29, I was woke. I was so thankful for Ava DuVernay's documentary 13th because it taught me my history as a black female living in America. I grew up in Long Beach and Compton, California, and I went to school in Huntington Beach. So I was a lot of my friends' first black friend. Huntington Beach was primarily white and some Hispanic and Latino community, but my school was about 95 to 98% white. So there were a lot of challenges there, a lot of stereotypes that were pushed on me, and so a part of me was suppressed that I didn't really recognize or realize until I watched 13th, and it was just really a mirror to myself of ideas I had about myself, things I disliked about myself and my race just because of the environment and kind of what I was told, and just society, the lack of representation there is of African Americans, and when we do see ourselves, it's usually the same stereotypes that are reinforced, and so we really don't get to identify with the people on the screen. And so after watching 13th, and in light of everything I just said, I decided that I needed to do something. Every day I was like, what can I do to help my people? What can I do to help the black community? So as simple as just smiling at every black person I see on the street and just feeling that connection and really building with the community that I hadn't really been able to have such a strong bond with because of ideas I had in my own mind. And I also started a social justice blog. I have always wanted to marry my art with my passion of helping people, but because I'm more focused on landscapes and then recently portraits, I hadn't really found a way to push the message of social justice with my art. And I would see all these beautiful paintings of persons who painted the black experience in a beautiful way or showed like the power behind our history of slavery, and that just wasn't something I was able to produce. And so I realized, what is the message I want to tell? I want to show that we're all the same. Our skin may come with different challenges in the world because of how people perceive us, but we are all internally the same. So my blog, wematter.blog, is a social justice blog focused on humanizing the black community face by face. And so it's We Matter, our histories, our stories, our lives. So one portion covers the history of black Americans and coming over into the US and the black experience. And then another section covers stories of black influencers I admire. And so I pair what I call mini views, so mini interviews with a portrait of that person, and then I share that on my website. And then lastly, I'm also a poet, and so I've written a lot of poems in honor and of memory of those who were slain by vigilantes and officers. And I've recorded those kind of in a spoken word format that is also on my blog. So I have been creating for a very long time, and I'm very excited to finally be able to put a message out there that I support through my art, and to be able to marry the two together. So thank you so much for having me. Find me at Princess Alyssa on Instagram, Princess Alyssa Art for Instagram and Twitter. Thank you.
Nevertheless, we just had a young lady that she was expressing herself, and I really hope that she'll come back again to do some more explain about who she is. Maybe she has some talent. I know she's a poet as well. She ain't mentioned all of that, but she has a website. But I need her back again. A lot of other young, talented people that will be on my show and expressing themselves as well. So anyway, I just want to let everybody know, thank you very much for watching this show. And this show is called The Artistic Talent. Comes on every Thursday from 10 a.m. and again at 6 p.m. And the channels is in Brooklyn is Cablevision 67, and all over the world you can see it on Verizon 5042. So yes, please watch this show. It's very important. It's going to be some big good stuff that's going on. And again, my name is Melvin Isaac, and it was a pleasure. Thank you.